So our next speaker is Professor Julie Homchick.
Here in my talk, which is really about some of the tension that I think we sometimes experience when our choices feel like, when we want to advocate for the environment, that we can make the choices in our own lives, like I'm going to recycle today, or I'm going to do these types of things, or when we vote for people every 2 years. And sometimes it feels like maybe we want to have more opportunities in between those times. And I think they're out there. And so I want to share with you a few things that I have done with students in my classes to try to bridge those gaps a little bit more and to try to allow that space in our lives, particularly during the pandemic when we might feel isolated and like, well, what can I really go out and do? Well, there are some things that we can do. And I think they're inspiring to help make meaningful change, but also to help people who are perhaps science averse to get out and do things connected to the environment and that are about environmental advocacy, because I think doing that work leads to more scientific literacy, which is something we clearly need today. So let's see. The first slide I have up here has to do with one of our rights as citizens in the United States, which is our right to know. And a lot of this relates to the Freedom of Information Act from 1966, which guarantees public access to executive branch agencies and information that they have related to our environment. So there are lots of things that we can do as citizens to get this information. That information can be really useful for us in becoming advocates if we want to see change in our local communities. So some of the things that we can do is the EnviroFacts website allows you to look up different locations. Same with the toxic inventory program. And then we even have data available in Washington State for some of this too. So we can't do the kind of advocacy work that we want to do unless we're equipped with this information first. So exercising our right to know, I think, is really central here. Next slide, please. There it comes. Okay, so the next item I want to talk about is our right to comment. And I think this is a particularly useful one for us to think about during the pandemic, where we feel like, can I go to a town hall? I don't know about being in public spaces and so forth. Part of our right to comment has to do with our rights to do testimony at public hearings or participate in advisory committees, but we also have opportunities for written comment. Environmental Protection Agency guarantees that we have the right for public comment. And so what we can do is we can go to regulations.gov and look for dockets that are from the EPA specifically. There will be open public comment periods, and you can get on there and write comments. And I've had students do this in my classes, and it's exciting for them. They can find topics that are relevant to their life or issues that they care about, and they can have their voice heard this way. So I think knowing about our right to comment here can move us into this advocacy space too. And then just one more thing. So next slide, please. The last one has less to do with some of our rights, but are just the opportunities that we have to engage in citizen science. So I have some different pictures up here of some citizen science work that my students have done. I teach in the humanities and social sciences, so many of my students don't feel like they are scientists. And they're not trained as scientists, of course, when they go do citizen science, but they can connect to science. And this becomes this really big thing. Some of the examples I have up here are the Globe at Night project, which asks people to collect data on their visibility at night that tells us about pollution. Some have gone out and done organism spotting. I really like is the Nurdle Patrol, where I had multiple students not able to socialize, but went out to beaches and looked and collected data on plastic particles on the ocean, on the coastline. So doing these types of things, I think, also lets us move into those spaces where we can engage, we can be advocates for the environment, especially while we're stuck at home. And I think that even outside of a pandemic just pushes us to engage in ways that lets us be better citizens of science and improve our science literacy. So those are just some things to share with you. And I have 8 seconds left and I'll stop.